Welcome to our channel on near-death experiences, NDEs. We'll explore stories of people who've been on the brink between life and death, returning with new perspectives. These accounts offer a unique glimpse into existence, life's meaning, and the universe. Each video is a journey through transformative experiences and spiritual discovery. We're creating a space of understanding and sharing for these extraordinary stories. Whether you're here out of curiosity or seeking comfort, we hope to bring you peace and awareness. Join us on this journey of spiritual exploration. Every moment is an opportunity to grow and love. Thank you for being here with us.
In a quiet Canadian town, at 4 a.m, a young girl is awakened by a vision of her grandfather, whom she affectionately calls Papa. Despite knowing that her grandfather is safe in the hospital, the vision deeply disturbs her. She gets up as usual and goes downstairs for breakfast when her mother bursts into the dining room with a hysterical voice, announcing that they must go to the hospital immediately because Papa has fallen out of bed and broken his hip. During the car ride, mother and daughter remain silent, with the mother driving faster than usual. Upon arriving at the hospital, they discover that Papa needs surgery. After several hours of surgery, he is brought back to his room. The girl stays by his side until the end, witnessing her grandfather's final moments. Before passing away, Papa looks into her eyes and utters a name she had never heard before. Tilly, the name of her deceased grandmother whom the young girl had never known. He was 16 days away from his 89th birthday, while his granddaughter would turn 14 23 days later. The girl is fascinated by the idea that her grandfather could see something she couldn't perceive, and wonders if death could be such an extraordinary event that society treats it with ignorance and fear. 2 years later, the girl's mother also dies. The funerals are sad and tearful experiences for her, as she deeply misses her loved ones. However, no one seems able to provide answers to her questions, and the adult world avoids addressing the topic. The young girl feels frustrated when she discovers that even the church is unable to offer satisfactory explanations, ignoring her questions. No one dares to suggest that the world of the paranormal might border on the satanic, and often it is she herself who helps others with her intuition and foresight, more than they can help her. At the age of 4.5, during a visit with her mother to friend's house, the child falls into a fish pond in the backyard. Suddenly, she is pulled out of the water and finds herself face to face with a man with blue eyes, snow-white hair, and dressed in an elegant suit, surrounded by a blinding light. The child has a conversation with this man, whom she calls Norman, and who appears to her as an angel. Norman reveals to her that she has a special mission to accomplish. Returning to the house, soaking wet, the child introduces herself to the owners and recounts falling into the fish pond. Fred Webster, the local newspaper owner, asks in amazement how she managed to get out of the nearly 2-meter-deep pond on her own. The child simply replies that an angel saved her. Surprised by this statement, Fred walks away to call a friend, asking him to come immediately to fill the fish pond, as a miracle has occurred. Years later, during a trip to Lake Ontario for her cousin's 7th birthday, the girl has another extraordinary experience. While swimming, she is suddenly sucked underwater. In those moments, she has a vision of her divorced parents and realizes she is no longer on Earth but floating above the amusement park. She feels she has died in the United States. When she re-enters her body, she is given artificial resuscitation and recovers as if nothing had happened. She tells her cousin about the experience, who in turn tells their aunt, but the girl never speaks of it again to anyone. At nearly 30 years old, after a dental filling, the woman has another near-death experience, NDE. Returning home from the dentist, she suddenly collapses. She finds herself outside her body, experiencing an incredible sense of freedom. She flies from East Lansing, Michigan to New York and then to Chicago in an incredibly short time, as if merely thinking of a place was enough to reach it instantly. When she returns to her body, she wakes up in the hospital, hearing doctors discussing her condition. This experience radically changes her attitude towards death. Before then, she had a terrible fear of dying, especially of dying too young, but now she feels confused and troubled by how death connects to life. In July 1976, the woman moves from East Lansing to San Francisco. During the journey, she has another NDE. She finds herself floating above her own body, without perceiving a tunnel of light or a reunion with deceased relatives. She is taken to San Francisco General Hospital, where she dies again along the way. In the hospital, she has a surreal experience. She gets up from the stretcher, still wearing her Givenchy shoes with money hidden inside, and walks down the corridor. A nurse, in disbelief, takes her temperature, which turns out to be 40 degrees Celsius 104 degrees Fahrenheit. The woman decides to leave the hospital and take a taxi to Presbyterian Hospital. During the ride, she collapses again and finds herself in a room where she receives an electric shock to her heart. She wakes up delirious in the new wing of San Francisco General Hospital, where she hears music coming from a calliope and sees actor Burgess Meredith playing it. In the following months, the woman continues to have episodes of high fever, which repeatedly bring her to the hospital. During one of these episodes, she has an NDE completely different from the previous ones. She enters a tunnel of light and finds herself in a zone of absolute beauty, experiencing a sensation of peace in mind, body, and soul never felt before. Upon awakening in the hospital, the woman realizes she is no longer the same person. She struggles to speak, move, and communicate. The recovery process is slow and difficult, but she gradually regains her abilities. Her sense of humor, which she considers her calling card, remains intact, although it sometimes seems to annoy others. The woman begins to see a psychiatrist in San Francisco, who recognizes special abilities in her. She realizes she possesses skills she had always taken for granted, such as visions, extraordinary hearing, and a particular awareness that make her strange in the eyes of others. Despite the difficulties encountered in reintegrating into daily life, the woman manages to survive thanks to the help of people she meets along her path. She finds work as an assistant to a woman who is about to retire in the real estate sector, becoming her arms, legs, and driver. The fifth NDE, which the woman calls the incredible butterfly experience, brings her greater clarity on the meaning of these experiences. She finds herself in a city she initially calls Paralandra, later renamed Pseudolandra, made of crystals and illuminated by a celestial light. Here she learns thought reading, a form of communication that doesn't use words but transmits information from one person to another as if by osmosis. In this dimension, the woman passes through various rooms, each with a specific purpose. The first is the room of forgiveness, where one frees oneself from slander made to oneself or others and purifies oneself from self-love. Other rooms are dedicated to purifying the soul and viewing future events. The experience makes her understand the importance of using the right hemisphere of the brain, in contrast to the prevalence of the left hemisphere in earthly society. This awareness becomes a fundamental aspect of her NDE and her worldview upon returning to Earth. The woman describes her journey in this dimension as a learning and purification experience. She moves from one room to another by floating, with an incorporeal but aware body. She hears distant and sweet music that seems to tune her vibrations. At the end of this experience, the woman feels profoundly changed. She has gained a new understanding of life and death and feels she has a mission to accomplish on Earth. Despite the difficulties encountered in readapting to daily life, she carries with her the awareness and wisdom acquired during her NDEs, seeking to share them with others and use them to improve her own life and that of those around her.
If you enjoyed this video or you're interested in the topics we cover on this channel, I'd be really grateful if you could subscribe to the channel so you don't miss future content. Share the video with someone you think might appreciate it. Thank you so much for your support. Preface: near-death experiences, NDEs, can be profound, life-changing events. Remember, NDEs are subjective experiences, not proof of an afterlife or a guide for living. Channel purpose: this channel shares NDE stories and information, providing a platform for open discussion without promoting specific beliefs. Disclaimer: this content doesn't replace professional medical or psychological advice. If struggling with mental health issues, seek professional help immediately. If you've had an NDE and need support, consult a therapist experienced with NDEs. We don't promote suicide or self-harm. If considering suicide, contact a prevention lifeline immediately. Suicide prevention resources: National Suicide Prevention Lifeline, 1-800-273-8255. Crisis text line, text HOME to 741741. Conclusion: We hope you find this channel informative. For questions, please contact us. Remember, suicide prevention is crucial. If you're struggling, seek help. You're not alone.